Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear it? Are you good?
Good morning. Everybody here all right? Welcome to the downtown park. How about a round of applause for these Thunder drummers? Thunder. We appreciate all the great partnerships that the Thunder are always involved in to help us in our city. We say thank you for being here today. You bet. Our pleasure. Well, good morning, and my name is Tom McDaniel. I chair the Citizens Advisory Board for MAPS 3. This is another landmark day in the development of the MAPS 3 programs. It hardly seems possible that 7 years ago Even more than 7 years ago, all of us here voted for a 1-cent sales tax. 1 penny. 1 penny that could have a transformational impact on our city and our community. I think that few of us realized the dramatic impact that this could have in the realization of our dreams, and we take another major step forward in that process today. So I want to begin by saying thank you and recognizing some of the people who have been so instrumental in that process. Central to all of this, of course, has been the wonderful leadership of our city council. And I want to introduce the members of the city council. If you will wave, if you're back in the crowd, I can't see everyone, but let me start with Councilman James Greiner, Councilman Dr. Ed Shadid, Councilman Larry McAtee, Councilman Todd Stone, Councilman David Greenwell, Councilwoman Meg Salyer, who will be introduced later on the program. Thank you, Meg. Councilman John Pettis, and Councilman Mark Stonecipher. I want to say thank you for the leadership that you have exhibited in making this day possible. A round of applause for our city council. That same council approved a process that would provide citizen oversight for this program from its inception. And members of the Citizens Advisory Board that serve with me are here today too, and I want to recognize them and ask them to wave as well. First, I'll begin with the girl I see first, my colleague Susan Hooper. Susan? Zane Boatwright. I know that Zane is here. If you'd wave, Zane. My colleague Dee Morales. Michael Adams. Nathaniel Harding, Cecilia Robinson Woods, Bob Nealon. I have saved for last the 2 members of our Citizens Advisory Board who serve as the leaders of the Parks Subcommittee. First, I'll introduce the Vice Chair of that committee, Mike Dover. Mike Dover. And finally, I want to call out for special attention today our colleague on our board, the chairman of the Parks Subcommittee, our great friend, Kimberly Lowe. Kimberly, I want to say to you, there is no member of our advisory board that has exhibited more passion for this project, more dedication to getting it done right, and more commitment to seeing that we get it completed in a reasonable and financially sound way. You have put your heart and soul into this, and all of us thank you today. The other members of the Park Subcommittee that I'd like to introduce, and I'll go through the list if you'll wave your hand. Teresa Rose, Miles Talbert, Desmond Mason, Fred Hall, Rusty LaForge, Jane Giroux Gamble, Bill Cameron, Terry Watkins, Anthony McDermott, and Maureen Hefferman. Would you give them a round of applause, please? We also want to say thank you to the members of the Parks Commission. If you're a member of the Parks Commission, would you wave to the crowd, please? Thank you for your participation. We appreciate your help. I want to say a special thank you to someone who has been a driving force in this effort. I learned today for more than 10 years now. She flew in from out of state to be with us today. We have a young lady here that many of you have met at public meetings. She leads the Hargraves team, who are the architects who are designing our park. And I want to say a special thank you for an extraordinary effort for the team of Hargraves led by Mary Margaret Jones. Mary Margaret, thank you for coming today. One of our great partners, of course, is the consultant that leads the way in everything that we do, and I want to say thank you to the great team from ADG, the local firm that is led by Mike Mize. Mike, thank you for all your help. All of us who are involved in this process have gained a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for the great city staff that we have, including our city manager, Jim Couch, who, as you may know, is the 2017 winner of the Dean A. McGee Award. Jim Couch, where are you? Let us recognize you and your great staff. Also want to say thank you to the people that really help us the most. David Todd, the program manager for the MAPS 3 development, and all of his staff who are with us today. David, thank you, and to all of your staff. My three best girls standing right in front. Thank you. Appreciate your great help. Finally, I want to say, I've already said thank you to the Thunder, but I also want to say thank you to Mike Grady and the YMCA. You'll see that we're going to have some YMCA kids that are going to help us celebrate this. And some of these kids are also from John Rex Elementary School, our downtown school that was a part of MAPS for Kids. It just seems like a really nice evolution to see that the school that MAPS for Kids built is now here to help us celebrate the new park that we know they're going to enjoy for generations to come. It's now my pleasure to introduce the leader of this MAPS 3 endeavor, and we are very excited because he is just home from completing his term as the president of the United States Conference of Mayors. He is also now a candidate for governor of our state, and he is currently the finest and best mayor in Oklahoma City and his longest serving one. Would you welcome my great friend, Mick Cornett. Mick.
I was thinking as Tom was going through the litany of people that we have to thank, just how many champions in Oklahoma City have come forward through the years to make this day a reality. You know, personally, I can remember nearly 20 years ago when the Department of Transportation was deciding it really needed to move I-40, that the safety concerns long-term were not conducive to leaving it at its current route. And I was a City Hall news reporter the day the City Council chose the current alignment, which is right behind you. And really, that decision by that 1998 City Council kind of set in course a number of decisions that have led us to today. Because along with the rerouting of I-40 came the next question: what will the city of Oklahoma City's reaction be? From a planning perspective, how will we adapt to the elevated interstate highway that will be removed, and what planning opportunities await? And there are, I'm sure, communities out there that could have missed or squandered that opportunity, but this one seized that opportunity. By the time that I became mayor in 2004, it was already the subject of conjecture by city staff. What would that land become? And as a result of that early conversation, I took the reality that the city needed to figure out how to plan this area to a gathering called the Mayor's Institute of Design, and where I was allowed to kind of expose our issue and our problem and our opportunities to a large list of worldwide urban planners and other mayors. And when we came back, we soon put together a Core to Shore committee. How many of you in here were part of that Core to Shore conversation of 2005, 2006? And many hands go up. That was a very inclusive. I think we had like 80 people at part of that first meeting to try and decide as a city what we wanted to do with this area that we felt like we were discovering for the first time in our generation. And soon after, the idea came, well, plans are great, but we got to pay for it. And the Chamber of Commerce led the way to try and determine how we could make it as part of MAPS 3, a large initiative that ultimately would be voted on in December of 2009. But what would the park look like, and how could we create the vision for the voters How could we convince them that this long-forgotten area could become perhaps the centerpiece of our entire metro area? And that's where Mary Margaret Jones was brought into the conversation, and the national consultants at Hargreaves, who have designed some of the finest parks in the world. Ultimately, it was placed in MAPS 3. I think it became one of the most interesting aspects of the MAPS 3 vote, and the Chamber of Commerce leading the way and the citizenry coming forth, and the passage of that initiative in December of 2009, I think will go down as one of the most important days in Oklahoma City history. We were already a good city by that time. We had already recovered from a lot of the shortcomings of 1980s and 1990s. At that point, we were trying to become a great city. And MAPS 3 was going to be necessary if we were going to create the kind of city that we all wanted, not just for our generation, but for the next generation coming behind us. And as the city leaders have gathered on subcommittees and oversight boards, and the city staff has continued to gather ideas, you've started to see this park get further and further along, and no longer was it just something we dreamed about, but you could start to see that it was going to be funded, it was going to be well planned, and it was going to line up as one of the success stories of this city's marquee moments. And we stand out here today, it looks a little bit like a blank canvas. And there's a lot of open space out here, but we know the planning and the meticulous detail that the architects and engineers and consultants and construction crews are about to embark. And in a way, it reminds us of those young people and their lives yet to unfold. How will they continue to grow this city? How will they continue to reinvent this park generation after generation? Because their lives are blank canvases as well. Unlike almost any other MAPS project, this is a project that's never really going to be completed, nor should we suspect or expect that we're going to complete it. It's not like a building where you start one day and you cut a ribbon another day. A park has to continually be reinvented as its uses and the generations change through the years. Every great park in every American city looks much different today than it did a century ago. And so it should be with this one as well. So I think more than any other MAPS project before or after, the citizens of Oklahoma City are going to enjoy watching this one grow and deliver its destiny. There are too many places to view the construction for people to ignore it and show up on the ribbon cutting day and say, wow, I didn't see that coming. They're going to see this one day by day by day. Tom thanked an extremely long list of people, and I'm sure it could have been every bit that long again. So suffice to say that the largest group that needs to be remembered are the citizens that showed up to vote for MAPS 3 and the citizen leadership that have showed up along the way to make sure that this park lived up to everything it can be. You know, I laughed to myself this morning when I remembered that really what MAPS was about was trying to address a lack of density. Oklahoma City, by the time the MAPS vote had spread itself out so far and the urban core had become so desolate that we were trying to figure out how we could reverse that trend. And I look out here today and I think all we needed was a hot day in a tent. We have created density right before our eyes. I hope everyone here that has their phone with them takes a picture. I know you take a memory, but also take a picture, because I want you to be able to look back upon this day as a day that Oklahoma City stepped up and fulfilled a lot of the promises that we made to the voters and a lot of the promises that we made to people that are no longer with us. I specifically want to thank the council of 2009, who was willing to put their political futures on the line for what was then a very big promise to the voters of Oklahoma City. And I want to thank the city staff, who has realized the importance of meeting or exceeding the expectations of the voter every single time that we put a project out for contemplation. So with that, I'm going to step aside, realizing that it's a hot day and there are other things to do besides listen to a politician talk. But I hope you feel in my heart just how thankful I am to each and every one of you that's come out here today, and for the perhaps relatively small role you've played individually, but the grand role you've played collectively in make this park a dream come true. Thank you all very much.
Well, just to underscore what the mayor said, I wanted to say a public thank you as well to the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce. They not only have supported us in a variety of ways, but they have also provided members to serve on the subcommittees, including Roy Williams and Mike Carrier are both with us today. So to the Oklahoma City Chamber, I just want to say thank you for not only helping us monetarily and helping us get the vote, but also thank you for serving on these subcommittees. Thank you, Roy, Mike, and all of your staff for all that you do. Thank you. Well, there is no greater supporter of MAPS 3 than City Councilwoman Meg Salyer. She has served on our Citizens Advisory Board. She has been a supporter of every effort that MAPS 3 has undertaken, and she is a stalwart in our community and a great leader, and no one has done more to help us with MAPS 3 than the City Councilwoman from the 5th, 6th. John, you got me thinking. All right, anyway, would you all please welcome one of the great leaders in our city, Meg Salyer.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Mayor, so much. I am truly delighted to be here, and I hope, like the rest of you, or like me, you all are pinching yourselves, somewhat amazed that we are here on this historic day, sitting at the edge of the park, looking back at this skyline, and having a true idea of what this vision actually is going to look like. I think many of you know I'm originally from New York, and Central Park has always been my touchstone. And it is the greatest joy to me to be able to thank Hargraves and the amazing team to build what will be Oklahoma City's Central Park in its core, the most beautiful place we could imagine on this spot where we're currently standing. So thank you to all who've been involved. It is almost impossible to think that we're standing in the middle of a 70-acre oasis that is going to change the face of Oklahoma City. And I appreciated the mayor's recounting, the somewhat simple story of how we got here. The relocation of I-40 really was that beginning place, and to realize how far we've come is amazing to me. So I actually walked most of the way over here from downtown. Rusty was kind enough to pick me up partway, so I didn't run out of time. But on the walk over, it gave me a chance to think about what we were going to see. And so I'm going to ask you all to dream with me just a little bit about what you're going to see soon. I want you, first of all, to imagine trees. There aren't very many here right now, but use your best imagination and think about oak trees and redbud trees and lacebark elms covering this territory. And imagine grass, lots of it. You'll experience a great lawn that's a covered stage for concerts and festivals. The lawn will be just north of here and will have the capacity to accommodate over 15,000 people for concerts and festivals. Imagine a series of large playgrounds for children of different ages that will be a magnet for kids. We can see how much fun our little ones are having right here today, playing with kites. Imagine that when this park is full of playground equipment. Imagine specialty gardens dotted throughout the park, featuring native plants and ornamental grasses. About 3 miles of walking and cycling paths will meander throughout the park. There will be shady pavilions for family picnics and picturesque covered spots for weddings, with an indoor space for the bridal party to prepare for their vows. In the very middle of the park, imagine a 3.5-acre lake. This is one of my favorite things, Mary Margaret. I can't wait. Spanned by a bridge. There'll be a boathouse where you and your family can rent paddle boats. Digging the lake will be one of the first things that our contractor does, so stay tuned and watch carefully as that begins to happen. At the edge of the upper park, we'll have this magnificent Art Deco building, which is right behind us, Union Station. We're looking for partners who are interested in redeveloping the station. So if you know anyone, or if you might be here in the crowd today, I have David Todd's phone number with me. It's 297-3469. So please call David with ideas and suggestions and dollars to help us restore the magnificent Union Station. Take a walk across the iconic Skydance Bridge to enter the 30-acre lower park, which will break ground in 2020. And I know that seems like a long way away, but guys, it's almost the 4th of July, and I imagine everybody's already bought their turkey for Thanksgiving, so time flies by when we're working on these projects, and 2020 will be here before we know it. The lower park will run almost all the way to the Oklahoma River and feature primarily sports fields and prairie gardens. The entire park will be a hub of activity with a much anticipated new MAPS 3 Convention Center to be constructed just to the east of us, right over here. You can hop on the MAPS 3 streetcar and go anywhere downtown you want to from the northeast corner of the park. I just want to harken back to say again that, remember, I'm from New York, and the real estate that surrounds Central Park is by far and away the most valuable and the most sought after in all of New York City. So I want us to remember what's going to happen around this park and the development opportunities, the land development opportunities that are at its core what MAPS is all about, providing public opportunity and public amenities to attract private investment in our ever-changing and ever-growing community. And so I want you to dream about what it will be like to live on something or other park south or something or other park east as an amazing residence. I really want to take this minute to express my absolutely heartfelt thanks to my dear friend Tom McDaniel and the MAPS Advisory Board members and all the subcommittee members for their leadership and commitment to MAPS. Each one of the council members has an opportunity to serve for at least a year as an advisor on those subcommittee boards. And I can't tell you the time and energy and commitment and passion and tears and angst and all those words that you can think of that go into the work that these committees have contributed to the citizens of Oklahoma City. And it means so much to all of us. I would be remiss if I didn't specifically thank Kim Lowe, our chairman. She has led this committee for more than 6 years, and I truly hope that people recognize the passion that she came to this project with and still has and will continue to have. I'd also like to thank the MAPS staff, David Todd. I don't know how you do it, but there must be 4 of you and 6 of each of your staff to be able to juggle all the balls that are in the air at the moment. We've got some really significant projects about ready to break ground. You're professional, you're calm, you help guide us through all of these things, so thank you so much for everything you've done for us. And on that note, it's my pleasure to welcome back Tom McDaniel.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're so welcome.
Well, our next speaker is the president of First Oklahoma Corporation and chairman of the board of the MAPS Park Foundation, but actually, he's way more than that. There is no one in our community that has been more dedicated or longer to the development of our community, our city, and particularly downtown. He is a great Oklahoman, a former winner of the Dean A. McGee Award for his contributions to downtown, and a great friend, Jim Talbert.
I fumble with these papers and I worry about it because a few years ago we were honoring Larry Nichols at the Myriad Gardens on the water stage, and he came up with his acceptance speech in his hand, and a gust of wind took it out of his hand and into a duck's mouth. And I I don't see any ducks, but if I lose the speech, I won't do nearly as well as Larry did. Tom, I think that none of us should reach a microphone like this without thanking you. I think being chairman of the MAPS Oversight Board is perhaps the most demanding and least appreciated job in Oklahoma City. In the depths of the economic bust of the 80s, a group of arts agencies commissioned a poll to determine what the citizens of Oklahoma City thought of their community and their cultural resources. The poll revealed a depressing fact that more than half of those polled didn't think it was a very good place to live. The MAPS initiative, invented by Ron Norick and championed by Kirk Humphreys and Mick Cornett, capped by the arrival of the Thunder, has long since altered what the citizens of the city think of their community. But it may be that it will be the creation of this magnificent urban green space that will permanently change how Oklahoma City citizens view their city. To assure that this legacy is realized, the mayor and the city manager asked Larry Nichols and me to consider how the remarkable abilities of the Myriad Garden staff, which had led to the significant success of that effort, could be applied to this project. In response, we have created a new foundation called the MAPS Park Foundation, but in a few minutes it will have a real name, and entered into a lease and management agreement with the city identical to that which governs the Myriad Gardens. The foundation will share senior management with the gardens, but will have its own staff and a separate and independent governing board. This arrangement will provide talented, experienced leadership for this facility while avoiding program and sponsorship competition. The talented and committed volunteers that have agreed to become members of the MAPS Park Foundation Board are Larry Nichols as Vice Chair, Matt Cole as Treasurer, Councilman David Greenwell, Kim Lowe, Senator David Holt, Blair Humphreys, Steve Mason, Mike Mize, Claudia San Pedro, and Kathy Williams. Maureen Heffernan, who is the executive director of the Myriad Gardens, will have overall responsibility for both facilities. In the summer of 2007, after a national search and multiple interviews, Larry Nichols and I settled on Maureen as the ideal candidate. On both occasions, when she came to here to be interviewed, the temperature had been about 105. Persuading this talented woman with a perfectly good job to leave the cool of the Maine coast and relocate to 105-degree Oklahoma City was, I think, Larry and Nichols and I perhaps greatest personal accomplishment. I want to thank the MAPS Park Subcommittee under the leadership of Kim Lowe, David Todd of the MAPS office, Lo Runkle and Mike Mize of ADG, Hans Butzer, and particularly Mary Margaret Jones and Gavin McMillan of Hargraves for their efforts to incorporate our ideas, the ideas of those that are going to operate the gardens, into the final design. The board and the staff of the MAPS Park Foundation take their responsibility for realizing the potential of this major community investment very, very seriously. We are honored by the trust the mayor and council have placed in us. Thank you.
Well, you know, this is really a team effort. As I was sitting here, Kim Lowe was worried about whether or not I needed a bottle of water, and my wife was wondering if I needed a hat. And so they're probably both right, but we're nearing the climax of today's activities. I know you've been waiting for this moment. More than 5,000 ideas were submitted for the naming of the new park, and a star-spangled committee narrowed the list to 6 great names. Literally thousands of people voted to choose the winner. As the kids start moving forward toward the shovels, I want for you to welcome back our mayor, who will officially give us the name of our new downtown park. Mick, be careful about the spoons.
Bring the kids over. Looks like recess is over. All right, here they come. I thought one of the key aspects of naming the park was to open it up to the general public, and we did receive thousands and thousands of names, and as Tom mentioned, we put together a committee that included 2 members of our youth council, because at every step of the way we wanted to remind ourselves, you know, MAPS is always about creating a city for the next generation. So why shouldn't the next generation be as involved as possible in the naming of the park? And so we have brought young people out here today to help illustrate the new name of the park. I will mention that at every phase of the elective process, this name was the top vote getter. All right. Cross your fingers. All right. All right, on 3, read it with me. 1, 2, 3. A round of applause for the children. All right. All right, we're going to have a official groundbreaking now, so I think the people that are part of the groundbreaking already know who you are, but it's generally city staff, the Citizen Advisory Board, and others who have volunteered their time to make this possible, members of the City Council. But come on forth so we can officially break the ground on the park. Mary Margaret, please join us out here.
Mm-hmm.